It always starts the same way. She doesn't look at you for who you are. She looks at you for who you might become. You've seen it, haven't you? That glimmer in her eyes, that spark. Is it hope? Is it hunger? Hard to tell. But it feels like you're being seen. Really seen. Except you're not. You're being scanned, measured, assessed. She's not looking at the man in front of her. She's sizing up a blank canvas. And in her mind, she's already started painting. But the painting, it's not of you. It never was. It's a character, a fantasy, a role she's been writing since childhood. And now, you're just the next audition. Carl Jung warned us about this. Not in the soft, fluffy tone of self-help gurus, but with the cold precision of a man who spent his life dissecting the human soul. Jung didn't flinch. He stared straight into the abyss of our inner world and told us what he saw. He saw that women don't just fall in love with men, they fall in love with the idea of men, the projection, the potential, and the most unsettling part. Most women don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're falling for you, but what they're really doing is casting you in a movie they've been directing in their head for years. You think she picked you, but she picked the version of you that fits her story. The fantasy man, the savior, the rebel, the lover. And when you stop fitting that role, when your real self starts to bleed through the cracks, she doesn't change the script, she replaces the actor. Jung called this psychological phenomenon the animus, the internal masculine archetype every woman carries. When that animus is immature or unbalanced, it turns into a kind of tyrant. And from that place, she doesn't engage with men, she tries to shape them. An unchecked animus makes her chase chaos and reject calm. It leads her to idealize dysfunction and dismiss stability. She argues without reason. She asserts with misplaced authority. She moralizes without ever reflecting. And the wildest part, she's not even aware she's doing it. Jung described it as a kind of spiritual possession, a state where the woman is no longer acting from her own consciousness, but from a shadowy, unconscious force that speaks with authority and certainty, a force that convinces her that the problem is you. And men? You fall for it, hard, because no one ever taught you to recognize it. You've been trained to see attention as affection, desire as connection. You mistake being chosen for being understood. She tells you you're different, that you're not like the others. And it feels good, for a while, until the mask slips, until the performance ends, and you're left wondering what you did wrong. You didn't lie, you didn't cheat, you didn't change, you just stopped being convincing in her fantasy. That's all it takes. Jung said the only way out of this psychological theater is through a brutal, lifelong process called individuation, the journey of becoming whole within yourself. But most men never start that journey. You've been conditioned to seek approval, to define your worth by how women respond to you. As long as you chase validation, you'll keep playing the same part, over and over, until the crowd gets bored, and you're replaced. Individuation isn't sexy. It's not some Instagram-worthy glow-up. It's raw. It's ugly. It demands you confront everything you've buried. The insecurities, the weakness, the self-doubt. It forces you to stop blaming women for not seeing you and start seeing yourself. Because here's the truth Jung knew, a truth most men never hear. You don't become a man by being chosen. You become a man by choosing yourself. You don't earn your value through her love. You earn it by standing alone, by facing yourself fully, awake, accountable, alive. A man who has looked into his own unconscious can't be seduced by projection. He's no longer a puppet in someone else's fantasy. He becomes the author of his own life. Jung saw that the real tragedy isn't that men get rejected. It's that they reshape themselves into whatever they think will be accepted. You call it compromise. You call it love. But Jung had another name for it: self-betrayal. The man who ignores his own inner development becomes a servant to the feminine projection, molding himself into what he thinks she wants. But the truth is, she doesn't even know what she wants. Not really, because she hasn't faced her own unconscious either. You stop being a man. You become a mask, a performance, a placeholder, smiling, agreeing, performing, until you forget who you were before you put the costume on. And women? They can smell it. They feel it on a primal level. The very traits you think make you lovable, being compliant, available, predictable, are the same traits that extinguish attraction. Why? Because Jung taught that the feminine doesn't crave safety, it craves mystery. It's not drawn to the man who reveals everything. It's drawn to the one who holds something back, not because he's hiding, but because he knows himself too well to perform. When you give yourself away without boundaries, when you lose your edge to gain her comfort, you don't become more lovable. You become invisible, disposable, forgettable. And yet, here's the paradox. Most men will do anything to avoid being alone. You fear solitude more than you fear being fake. You'd rather keep pretending than face the silence. But Jung said it clearly. Until a man can embrace that silence, he will never be free. He said individuation requires you to die before you die. It demands the death of the false self, the actor, the mask. Only then can something real emerge. But don't get it twisted. This process, it's lonely, painfully lonely. You'll start seeing things you wish you hadn't. You'll see the masks people wear, the lies they tell themselves, the roles they cling to. And when you speak the truth, when you mirror back what you see, they won't thank you. They'll resist. They'll mock you. They'll label you cold, arrogant, broken. But you're not broken. You're just awake. And being awake in a world that sleeps is a heavy burden. Jung worked with patients who couldn't bear to confront their own shadow, the rejected, hidden parts of their psyche. And in many cultures, women are raised to believe they don't have a shadow at all. They're told they're pure, intuitive, emotionally complete. But Jung didn't buy that. He said the greatest threat to a woman's growth is her unconscious animus, that inner masculine voice that speaks with false authority, false clarity, false righteousness. And if she doesn't face it, she becomes enslaved by it. She projects it onto every man she meets and blames him for the war she refuses to fight inside herself.